Okay, we'll call the meeting to order here, and so would those that will approve the minutes for the February meeting, if there's any, I'm open for motions, if everyone's had a chance to read the minutes, and there's extra copies if you didn't get them in the mail. Anyone still need time for the minutes? Okay. At least, did you get a chance to read the minutes? If not, those are the minutes, because I know you were gone last time.
Yeah.
I'll let you have a few minutes, seconds to look them over. And I need to know if you got a thing like that. Did you get that notice about noise? Okay, good. Okay, so if you want to still read the minutes, fine. If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, so Carmen moved that we approve the minutes, and Howard seconded. Any questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes for February 12th, say aye. Okay, opposed? All right, motion is passed. Okay, topics from the floor. I see we have several people out here. So, how many groups are we representing? We have all, you two? Okay.
By myself.
Okay, yourself, and so, okay, I'll just start with you. Come on up and introduce yourself, and you let us know what your topic is, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. So, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what the topic is, appreciate it.
Okay. My name is Rosemary Clement. I live in the Jensen's house with the canoe up there. So my topic is about, I see that you're going to make some improvements at Sand Island, and I just want to give some input. And that is, my son, my 30-year-old son came a couple weeks ago, and he said, oh my goodness, you guys really should be putting a ropes course out there. I think it's a fabulous idea. It's the type of situation where you can keep it safe when nobody's there by elevating everything up so it's not accessible. It would also provide some jobs for people in the area during the summer when it would be open. And it'd be a pretty major attraction drawing people to the area. With you talking about getting access to Sand Island, I see, that might actually make this a possibility.
Okay. Now, Sand Island was still under consideration, or where do we stand
It's
on
in
it?
my council's report,
Okay.
and it's on the agenda.
Okay, so,
Ropes course. You haven't heard of these at all? They're all over the country, and you walk on things. It's elevated. I can get a better description and turn it in.
okay, we'll be happy to entertain that. Is that going to be something that could you stick around? 'Cause
Well, you could possibly deliberate about it later on in the agenda. It would be nice to know what the cost is and who's going to maintain it and how all those things are worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
we might bring you on the agenda to give you more input,
Okay.
more input of your research.
Sure.
How much it's going to cost and what it's going to do. But we might deliberate on with the commission whether they get a thumbs up or thumbs down of whether we could go forward on that. In doing that, who would install it? How would they install it? What are the timelines? What are the risks? All those things have to be answered before
Sure.
we just put something in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is it something you want before you deliberate? Can I gather some information and present again?
Yes,
we
yes,
would
without a doubt. If you'd like
definitely
to
without
come
a
back.
doubt. The more
Okay.
and you have good news. You have we meet again in 2 months.
Okay.
Now, if you have some information that's accessible before that, we can possibly get it to, we could get it shared early so we could have a better chance to deliberate it in June.
Okay.
But if not, we will definitely take it up again in June.
Okay.
Meantime, there's still the issue of the city and the county trying to figure out what they're gonna do with Sand Island, so those will all have bearing on that outcome.
Okay, great.
And if
Thank you.
you want to be on the agenda coming up, you'd get a hold of Sherry over
Okay.
there, and her number's 503-397-3532.
What is the date of that meeting?
When is the next meeting, Sherry?
The next meeting is the 11th of June.
Okay. I've got a grandbaby due to be born the 22nd. Okay.
So,
Right, but
one of the things is that if you can stay around for the Sand Island presentation,
Sure.
I think you'll be enlightened.
Okay, good.
All right?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, did you have something that, okay, and then you guys were here?
Well, it sounds like we're actually on the agenda.
You're on
Oh,
agenda.
Okay, so they're on the agenda. Anyone else that's just from the floor? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to councilors' report.
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is, if we haven't met our finance director, introduce Matt Brown, our finance director, and he will update you on the budget process. That's much, much more effective way of doing it than listening to boring Doug's talk. Okay, so here's Matt Brown.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to go over a quick few things that the Budget Committee is talking about. One of the items on the list for the Budget Committee to potentially advise the City Council to relook at is park use fees. I have a single printout that I can hand out to you. This is not something that needs to be deliberated today. It's not something that needs to be decided today. The best case scenario would be that the Budget Committee advises the City Council to then advise you to look at park use fees. So the last time they were updated, I believe from when I talked with Jenny Dimshow, was back in 2014-15 when the Parks Master Plan was done. This was when you specifically were looking at the field use fees, and you raised them from $5 per day to $10 per day. So I did another quick comparison with the cities that you looked at beforehand to give you some updated rates, just to get your mind thinking about it in the future in case that does get approved and you decide to relook at the park use fees. So I will leave that with Doug. Can I leave that with you
Sure.
to share if anybody wants to take a look at that?
So was it 2-3 years ago, the last time we raised?
2014, so it'd be almost 5 years next year. So.
Pass that around and take a look at it.
Like I said, it's nothing you need to worry about at the next meeting or anything, but it may be something potentially to look at down the road. One other thing that is on the agenda is that the Budget Committee is considering what we've kind of called a reinvestment into parks, and that is a potential reinvestment of about $500,000 over a 5-year period to do capital improvements to many of the parks, particularly the Category 1 projects on the 2015 master plan, to complete those within the next 5 years. So that's something kind of exciting to be looking forward to if that continues to move forward with the City Council. The other thing that I just wanted to quickly mention too was that the city and school district have been working the past few months on meeting to begin a recreation program as a partnership between us and the school district. So myself and a couple council members and some school board members have been continually meeting and kind of talking about what a recreation program would look like within the city of St. Helens. So as we kind of get more developed in this, you will see a press release that is going to be going out tomorrow between us and the school district. On that press release will be a survey link with about 6 questions that will ask residents about what kind of type of programs they would like to see. And this is more than we're not doing anything specifically right now with youth sports or anything like that. Right now we're just focusing on starting small, so it would be more or less culminating all of the activities that are currently going, all the activities that the school district does, all the activities that the library does, and a lot of other organizations that do in the community, but there's no central location to have basically a central place for a calendar for someone to go who's new here or looking for stuff to do. So we're starting off with kind of programs that are already existing and maybe a few new programs, new ideas, and like craft nights or do-it-yourself classes, that kind of stuff that can be helpful for the community. So you will see that being released tomorrow. And please feel free to take the survey and share the survey. As much feedback as we can get is very helpful on that program.
Is this why the kids are using the parks? Or what?
It's more like our citizens who use the parks can also use school facilities. It's a partnership with the school district. And that doesn't mean that we're taking the school into our parks, but it does kind of mean that. But it also means that we could take some programs into the schools and use as recreational activities. For example, volleyball or basketball or those kinds of leagues that kind of happen, and we're utilizing the gym and facilities.
Okay, so these are indoor buildings, or the kids can't go out, or people can't go out and use the oval tracks at the school.
That's the whole, that could be. So there's when this is an idea, it's a concept.
Well, that would be an ideal place for people that are worried about safety and things like that, rather than running in the dark old McCormick Park from some of those back trails. If you're at a school oval track or something like that where you have lighting, something like that, that would be something that would maybe promote the public to use, rather than if you're going to the back trails of McCormick Park in the winter. That's not a good place to be by yourself. So that would be, if that's what you're talking about, that would be a good
The
idea.
council's excited about this because it can pool all our activities that take place in our community. We're such a rich, absolutely rich recreational mecca of fishing, of all of these. How many people know how to tie a fish lure? How many people know how to do that? And a recreational director or a combination of the two with a Parks and Recreation format can go forward organizing those kinds of, in the long run, those kinds of activities on a calendar. As Matt was alluding to, there's no place we're going to put that person. We haven't thought about that person that much or that department, but we're moving forward on the concept. Now, we just stay here this way and continue business as usual. It doesn't grow forward. It doesn't allow our citizens to tap into a really good resource of what's really here. So that's the concept of the.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask how long the survey's open for and when you guys are gonna determine the results and analyze.
It'll be open. It's open now. Technically, you'll see the link on the press release and on Facebook and tweet it or Twitter and all this other stuff.
Okay.
It'll be open for I think about a month or so. I think beginning or middle of May is when we'll end it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And one final thing on this budget, does Thad get more than a fraction of a person to help him?
That's the potential on the budget is a potential additional staffing and maintenance costs as well for ongoing maintenance. So that's another item on the agenda.
I think we'll vote for that right away. Any other things on that? Matt?
Okay, so thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. One of the, if you look down under new business on the agenda, one of the couple of things that I had was I'll come back and talk about the picnic table painting, and our guests are here to work with the Sand Island Camping and Maintenance and Shuttle Agreement proposal. And the other thing that's really news is that the council voted to integrate this commission with bicycle and pedestrian. And the bicycle and pedestrian is down to 3 people. And it's all, instead of taking it off the books and letting it dissolve with lack of interest of people serving on bicycle and pedestrian, we thought, Councilor Locke and myself thought it'd be a good idea because he oversees that committee. And we thought it'd be a good idea to combine the bicycle pedestrian with parks. And if you think about it, that's pedestrians. We are doing pedestrian and trail work at this time. Jerry Belcher has looked at doing a trail in terms of trail connectivity to all our parks, those kinds of things, and combining safe passages to and from our parks and schools is like essentially very important. So I see that as a good fit between you folks and combining the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee as a subcommittee for the Parks Commission. I hope that makes sense, but that was our fix, and the council voted to go ahead with that. So I'm bringing you that news.
Does that mean we'll have more we'll have to increase the size of our group then?
Yeah, by probably 2 or 3.
And have they been spoken to as far as they will
They,
come to?
Mr.
our
Locke
meeting?
has got a hold of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. Jerry, did you happen to give any of them a call? Okay.
Didn't get a hold of them.
Okay, so yeah, that's just in the future. It isn't. It'll start probably. We'll invite them next at our next meeting and catch up with those folks of what we're on board with and what their work has been.
Well, like I say, I'm open to it because, like I say, as long as our meetings are still pretty much, the second Monday of even months, if they can adjust to that, since there's more of us than there are of them, so it'd be easier for them to adjust to us, I think.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone agree on that, so that I can tell the council that I did talk with you folks and you did give a thumbs up or thumbs down or.
You want a motion?
Yes, we do. Yeah, if you can do that, and if you can work through that process, I'd
Make a
appreciate it.
motion to combine the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee with the Parks Commission and hopefully meet at our existing time frame, because
All right, did you get that, or do you want a repeat of that motion? You got it? Okay, so we got a motion, I have a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept the bicycle and pedestrian as being part of the Parks Commission. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passed.
Thank you. I'll report that to the council and my report with them, and they'll be happy since they also gave it the thumbs up and said, yeah, go ahead with it.
Okay, as long as you bring donuts, we're good.
Yeah, all right, that's a good idea. All right, bagels. Before you, I passed out a plan that Mr. Andrew Nemi, Lower Columbia River Engineering, drafted and has done countless amount of volunteer work on this project. The other volunteer group that has done a lot of work on this is the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And to let you know, okay, old business, the approval, okay. We'll go with that. I didn't look down on the agenda under old business on see the approval. So let's wait till then, okay? So that we can work with that. Is that okay?
Yeah, we're trying to follow the agenda.
Trying to follow the agenda, I know that,
We've been
okay.
instructed to follow the agenda as printed so that people that want to just review that portion on their.
Okay, so I'll come in and introduce Andrew and allow him to report on that at that time.
Fine.
So we have an extensive agenda today, so that's it for council report. You'll hear a little bit more from me as we get into new business.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Then we'll go back to under new business, picnic table painting. Is that
I understand that our trash cans are very limited because we've painted them all. And we've painted them all in a celebration of 4th of July. And there's been competitions and a really fun activity. It's been extremely well received from our community, and it's going strong. It's a 4th of July activity, and we don't want it to go away. But we have limited trash cans to pass around. So this was, in its beginning, was a formation of getting the Parks Commission and the Arts and Cultural Commission together. Because at one time, the Arts and Cultural Committee wanted to place a park bench on down third baseline over at Campbell Park. And then the Parks Commission said, "Hey, wait a minute! You can't do that in our park." And the Arts and Cultural Commission and Parks, they went back and forth, and it got fairly fragmented. So we came up with a joint project to paint the trash cans. The Parks Department would get the trash cans all together and get them prepped and do that, and the arts and cultural people would sponsor the event to paint them. So that's worked out really well. So we want to keep that going. And so I kind of thought, well, what else can they paint? And it was obvious. Trash cans doesn't sound too cool, but picnic tables sound really good. I mean, there's a good connotation to the trash cans and picnic tables. It's so different. So not only that, it allows the painters to have more of a real kind of palette of or composition, and in terms of the benches and the table, it's kind of a three-piece kind of thing. I think it'd be a fun activity to continue on 4th of July. The Parks Commission then needs to advise the parks people to go ahead with this idea, and it's what we could come up with in the interim real quick, because we got to get it on the 4th of July agenda and all of that. So now's the time to do that. If you're in favor of the Arts and Cultural Commission taking over and painting picnic tables like they have done with the trash cans, now's the time to discuss it.
So the question I have is, did the Arts and Cultural Commission, did they discuss this and say this is something they want to do?
I went before the Arts and Cultural Commission. They're excited about it.
Okay, so this would take the place of the garbage can painting?
That would take the place of the trash can painting at this point.
Well,
So that-
my 2 cents worth on that is that I've been involved with the Arts and Cultural Commission, and that really was a successful thing. I mean, tons of people were involved, and the garbage cans were incredible. And my feeling is, if the Arts and Cultural Commission, if this is something they want to do, then we should support their wishes.
Well, that's assuming, in the case of the garbage cans, did you take that to them, or did they, because the picnic tables aren't as easily, that one at Walnut Tree Park weighs 5,689 pounds, and I gotta move it every month, and I'll tell you, that's a son of a gun.
If we go forward with this, then the council will direct the Public Works and Parks to see if they can get the tables down there. And
Well, I'll leave that up to the people that have to do the work. What's your opinion, because you're the ones that have to.
Well, the biggest problem I see with this is it's 4th of July. Everybody wants picnic tables. We never have enough picnic tables. So if you're gonna take 30 picnic tables down here to paint, where are they gonna come from? We're gonna take them from down here and have no place for people to sit? We're gonna take them from other picnic areas where people have picnics? That's my biggest question.
okay, and it depends on how many people rent those cabanas or the shelters out. And if they rent it out, and if they actually pay for a shelter and a picnic table, I can see those staying. But other than that, I think this activity takes precedent over for one day a year of maintenance on them. So that's my way of thinking.
Yeah, but the point is 90% of those picnic tables end up down here anyway because they want them at 4th of July time. I mean, we grab them from everywhere we can to take them down.
Oh, so they end up down here
Yeah,
instead.
most of the time.
Is it easier to have the mountain not be brought to Mohammed, but Mohammed to go to the mountain and have them go to where the picnic tables are?
I don't think so. I think everyone wants to come to Columbia View Park. That's it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an activity. It's a festival.
We bring them down there anyway.
Yeah, we do. We
So-
bring them down there, but
And then we also budgeted the next few budget years, $5,000 for more picnic tables, so.
How many tables
we
are they talking about actually painting of the ones that we have?
Trash cans, how many trash cans did we go through
we
on
do
a,
like-
on a painting, like about 15 or 12 or 15, something like
That's
that?
what I was gonna say 15.
I didn't even think they did that many.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought
if
they
you're
only did
talking
like 8 or 9.
a dozen tables, and you normally do this, if you normally take those tables to a certain location, and it's well before the 4th of July, and the weather, you can find one day of where the weather, how many days of painting do they need?
One.
One. Well, then, I think that we should be able to try to support their efforts to paint the picnic tables if you guys think that you take them to a
Well,
central location anyhow.
it's not a problem to take them down there, and I think it's really a good idea. It's just the fact that we have to take them from somewhere, and then they have to take them a day or two to dry.
Right,
and
but
then-
if we're
Then we have
talking,
to take and put them back out.
Right,
It's
so-
just, we do it anyway.
so if you're looking at a week window, or if we have a week window to do this, I would say, can we support that? And I think we can, if the doers can do it. Because you guys are the doers.
Oh, yeah, we bring them down here, like I say, anyway. We bring
Okay.
down all the tables we can bring down, because they just have such a demand for them at the 4th of July.
How much advance can the arts people tell us, this is April, 4th of July, we've got 2 months.
It isn't that
window.
big a problem. It'll happen. Just say,
So-
if you want it, it'll happen. We'll
So-
make it
Okay.
happen.
So
Just
we
wanted
need
to
a
be sure
motion?
I think, so I just want to say one more thing. I think it's a really good idea. I do have a suggestion, is that we do potentially have them do one picnic table that anyone can contribute to. So it's a big space, and I think, at least with the trash can painting in the past, you have like a dedicated artist for it. But I think it would be fun to have like a picnic table that anyone coming and going throughout the day can add to. Like a kid can kind of do some painting on it, and it's not gonna be like a gorgeous work of art, but it's gonna be kind of cool for a kid to go to a park and see like, oh, I painted that piece right there. I think, and it would allow the kids to actually kind of participate in the event rather than just watching. So that's my
We'll
suggestion.
pass that on to the arts and
Yeah.
cultural people.
And the arts and culture people have to give us some idea of what their idea, because if it's like the salmon on the highway, we'll probably say no.
This comes from our citizens.
Well, yeah.
And if you're going to say no to our citizens,
No.
I think that's
What
a
I'm
breach
trying
of
to
your,
say- what I'm trying to say is some of these things that get done are done without a lot of heads up. So if they can give us some ideas of what they plan on painting these picnic tables,
well,
because I can conjure up all kinds of designs
I-
that might
Stan,
not
it's
be
sometimes
good.
it's pretty hard to come up with those things on, when we meet once every 2 months in terms
No,
of
but-
timelines and
but
that
Johnny-
stuff. If you
Johnny-
look at those trash cans, they're beautiful.
Okay.
I mean, and we've had a lot of success with that.
Okay, that's all I'm saying,
Yeah.
but at the same time, be aware that beauty's in the eye of the whole beholder, and
But
I'll tell
that's-
you what,
We
That's
got
part of
that.
art. That's part of art.
You're looking at a guy who taught art in the classroom for 31 years. I know that one.
all
Well,
right.
here's my comment. They've been doing this for quite a period of time, and granted, there are all sorts of different garbage cans, but I've never seen anything inappropriate. And I think if someone started to paint something inappropriate, hopefully the arts and culture. I love your idea about, the table that everyone can contribute to. I also think that maybe we could throw in something that they should, monitor the painting of the tables to make sure that there is nothing inappropriate on the tables. That's a pretty general statement, but, something that, that's not offensive to
Right.
the general public.
We already have a lot of tables that are inappropriate.
Are you talking about desks, or are you talking about tables?
So we're in favor of it, and so is this a question of a motion you need from us, Doug?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm open for a motion.
I make a motion that we support and work with the Arts and Cultural Commission on painting picnic tables at 4th of July.
Okay.
I would- Go ahead and say something.
Oh, no, I was just seconding.
Oh, I think we should also throw in there that we also would ask them as a recommendation to have a table open to the public
to work on, and to monitor the tables for appropriate, acceptable. We got that as a motion? We've got it as a motion. Everyone understand it? It doesn't need to be repeated?
I think so. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of supporting the arts and crafts people with picnic tables for the 4th of July painting with appropriate guidance and oversight? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed. Okay. So, we're moving on now to Sand Island Camping Maintenance and Shuttle Agreement.
I just want to say a couple things about this, is that we've had employees of St. Helens Marina come forward and testify on several occasions about the extreme theft and just disruptions that some people are making in the marina area, especially the theft kind of thing. So undesirables in many sense, all hours of the night. Scary to some people who live aboard down there, are going around the marina. So this makes so much sense when it comes to monitoring who's on Sand Island and when they come over, and having some kind of authority to enforce our park rules. So this is like huge, I think. And with that, I just want to introduce Andrew Nemi and Brad to come forward and present their proposal to this commission.
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Nemi with representing Lower Columbia Engineering. And we don't have a formal proposal put together. It's more of just an introductory presentation, informal presentation that seemed appropriate. We've been in discussions with the city and had a meeting with Mr. Walsh and a couple of the counselors. Thad was involved, where we proposed an idea that Brad Hendrickson with the St. Helens Marina and I have been discussing for a more organized effort for a campground and other activities on Sand Island. And seems like a natural fit with the facilities that the St. Helens Marina currently has in place. They have restrooms, showers, the convenience store down there, and the ability to pretty easily monitor the activities out on the island and get people back and forth, manage the trash and other essential infrastructure requirements for such a proposal. And so the city thought it would be a good idea if we came and presented this idea to your group to see if you thought that it would be something that the city and your committee would specifically be interested in, and gather input before we present a formal proposal to the city. And I'll let Brad explain a little bit more about how their facility could service such a proposal.
Well, the city had a shuttle. I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. We had one, in, as a means to getting over to Sand Island. Well, I don't know what the percentage is of people in the town that actually have boats or whatever, but this is the largest park you have in the city, and let's say at least half of the people can't get there, right? So by bringing the shuttle back, you give access to your biggest park. You can monitor the kind of people that are going over there, because we'll be running the shuttle. We would also put a camp host over there on the docks in a boat, so that you have somebody over there all the time. You would run it like a normal campground where people have to get quiet at 10 o'clock. You can't have parties blaring, you just can't. I mean, one of the reasons we've not been able to monitor that island, me not being the city not being able to, is we didn't have access for the police to get over there. Well, we will have a boat for the police to be able to get over there. So this really should be able to take care of the problems that we have. I mean, you're always going to have problems. Anytime people are camping, you're going to have the onesie-twosie people that are a problem. Well, this can get rid of those. Okay, vagrancy, like Doug was talking about, we have a problem on the river. You have people that are living on their boats, and they're not paying mortgage, they're not doing anything other than taking up dock space that everybody else has paid for with their voter registration fees and stuff. Well, these people, I don't mean to generalize, but in a lot of cases, they are not good people. We've had thievery in the past when these boats show up. You can't connect the dots too well, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. So this, by having somebody over there and having a presence on that island at all times, you can then reinforce the laws that are set there already. You can't sit at the island for a month at a time. We've seen boats over there for 2 and 3 months sitting there. We've had people set up tent cities over there for months at a time. You know, by getting a presence there, you take care of all that, you know, and then you get to keep it clean. There's all, you know, it'll be just more of a formal park, and, you know, we think it's a great idea. And I am sitting in a position to be able to handle the traffic there, and so far, it seems like a win-win.
Would the sheriff or would be Chief Moss or from the police, or who would take care of that? Would that be
It's an excellent question. I don't know the jurisdiction on the island. I think it's, I'm assuming city, so the city police.
Well, okay, well.
The island's technically in the city limits,
Okay, so.
but
would
the
Terry
river,
Moss-
the river
River
stuff would be
patrol.
handled by the sheriff patrol.
Okay, but would Terry Moss be able to support sending officers over there? Because right now, they're like Thad with the parks people, there's only so many of them.
Correct.
And
Totally understand that.
So if they have the wherewithal and manpower to do something like that, we're all in favor of it. Don't
Right.
get me wrong, but you can't ask them to do something that they have nobody to do it with, just like.
That's
Thad-
exactly right.
Thad
If you-
can't go over there and mow the park over there,
Right.
all right? 'Cause
Yeah.
he can't keep up with the ones he's got now.
I'm
So-
sure Stan, it'd be a call-by-call situation.
but
If they're
as
busy
far as
doing something else, then they wouldn't
Opening,
be able.
being open to it, all in favor, I
Right.
mean, I'm all in favor of that, but you have to have those kind of questions addressed.
Absolutely. No, it's a very, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I'll
Oh, it's,
be here all night.
it's important. It is very important to have the police on our side, because if, I want to know, as being that I'm going to be involved in this whole thing, can we get a troublemaker out of there? I mean, we have to have that answer. So, being that we will be there all the time anyway, we should know, you'll start to figure out who the troublemakers are also, you know, I mean, you can deny access to that island. Now, there will be a public, public access area, or how do we say that?
Well, technically, the majority of, the perimeter it's all public access
Right.
currently and would remain so. This would really be just an opportunity to provide better access and an organized effort. With regards to the law
Right.
enforcement question, one way of looking at that, I mean, it is already city property, and currently, there could be an incident out there, and you'd be relying on the sheriff's boat to be deployed and get help out there, and that would be difficult, I believe. This would actually provide another alternative for getting law enforcement out there should there be an incident.
Well, the fact that is, now, is this that one where we were going to hire someone to be out there full-time? Is this part of the same thing where we're going to put someone on the island for that?
Who was
or
going
is
to
this a
do,
whole
th-
different-
who was going to do that?
Well, that was my question. There was been talk about having someone, set up a full, caretaker on the island and if he had communications with the sheriff or something like that.
Right.
So you're talking about a whole different body or a
Yes,
whole different
we're
person?
talking about providing that for you,
Okay,
so that it doesn't cost the city any money.
Now, are
okay.
you talking about mainly patrolling the docks, or are you talking about patrolling the whole
Whole
island?
thing.
Because I know in the past, we've actually talked about, it may not be here at this time, but eventually, weren't we talking about that there needs to be more official campground on the island and that type of thing?
That's,
Speak
what
to
they're
that.
doing.
Speak
exactly
to
what we're
that,
talking
Brad.
about.
So we're gonna come up with a number of what we'd consider official campgrounds out
Yep,
there.
official campsites, exactly.
Well, this is
They'll be
great.
numbered,
I
they'll
mean,
be,
this is great, but like I say, then who's paying this for you? I guess that's. the
Well, that's
question.
one of the questions, and I'm glad you asked that, because there will be a camp fee if you stay overnight.
Yep.
Yeah,
just like Fort Stevens. When you go down to Fort Stevens and you're gonna go tent camping, it's gonna cost you $25 to $30 a night to pitch a tent.
so
So
this
with-
is
In
a
a-
city,
in a
office-
set-
this is a city thing?
So we would come up with a proposal for most likely a lease agreement where,
Okay.
essentially, a portion of the island would be under private lease to operate this campground. And all of those details, of course, would have to be worked out. But it would basically be the city leasing the property for this, what essentially would be a privately managed campground.
I think what you brought up before, though, you need to really emphasize there's still gonna be public access.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I've heard
Oh, yeah.
that from a lot of people already, that they're worried that it's.
Oh, yeah,
gonna
no,
be
this is, it's a
public
city
access.
park. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Another one that we've had discussions about.
Okay, I have,
And that,
this is just the beginning of a very long process, I think. Very, very long. But just one, I have several questions and then a couple comments here, just to kind of get it started. If you ran a shuttle service, what's your current thinking about the scheduling of the shuttle? Would
You
it
just-
be just summertime? Would it be 20,
Right.
18 hours a day, that
Right.
type of thing?
Okay, you want to handle this question by question kind of a thing?
I think so.
All right, good. So no, we would not run it year-round. I don't see that happening. I mean, it's got to be feasible financially, if we're going to be the ones doing it, if we're going to be leasing it and everything. So it's more of a summer, let's say, we're just starting on this thing. So let's say a May through September-ish kind of a schedule, and then you'd run the shuttle, let's say hourly, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 or 6, or, go ahead.
Well, would this be just for the campers, your shuttle?
No,
It'd be for every?
absolutely.
So I wanted to
So,
clarify.
I mean, a lot of it would be need-based. This would be a pretty large-scale proposal that would include group activities. I mean, there could be weddings out there. In the summertime especially, we've talked about all sorts of different recreational opportunities, jet ski rentals.
Yep.
See, our
Good,
problem
good
is
ideas
we
along
have
there.
been trying as a commission
Dan,
to
can I
get
get-
out there and visit the island, and we haven't made it yet.
And can I go through my series of
Sure,
things here?
sure, go for it.
The shuttle service, then there'd be a fee charged for people to take people over and back.
What you would have is you'd have a fee for a day use area. Let's say, like, well, you go down to Willamette Park in downtown Portland, it's $10 to go in there and park, and use that park, okay? So you'd have something like that down here. If you want to go and use the park, if you have a boat, you can go over and use the park, it's all yours. If you don't, there's going to be a fee to get onto the island.
Okay,
So-
I figured that.
Related
You-
to that fee, just because it's on the same topic, are you thinking that revenue would go to you guys, or that revenue would go to the city?
That's
or
what we
would
have
be
to, that's
split?
part of the whole discussion that we have to have. So the city is right now spending, and I don't know the number yet, and Matt was gonna look it up, I think. But the city is spending a couple $1,000s a month, let's say, I don't know, somewhere in there, on maintaining that island, and cutting the grass, the employee hours, and maintaining the restrooms, all this kind of stuff. So we're going to relieve you of that burden. So that's the start. Now, in doing that, obviously, I'm gonna have to pay people to go out there and do that kind of stuff. So that money's gotta come from somewhere, but we're gonna be providing a benefit to the city in changing the waterfront in a lot of ways. That island's 40 acres long. There's a lot of things that you can do out there that are a lot of fun. And, especially, obviously, we have a new part of the town here that we've purchased that we can, that's gonna get built on at some point in time. So we really are gonna be transforming a little bit more of downtown St. Helens. So I think it's a good fit, and that money that you guys have been spending on your parks out there can be sent somewhere else to help some other parks.
Yeah, the idea with the proposal would be that it completely relieves that burden from the city. And so obviously the details with the lease arrangement and how the money flows would need to be worked out. And that's probably the most complex part of this. But the idea would be that it would be completely managed through this agreement to where it was a hands-off, moving forward for the city, that, like Brad mentioned, completely remove that burden, maintenance burden and financial burden from the city.
And all that legalese is going to go through the council, that's where I think the
Yes.
Parks Commission has, we're gonna say, yes, I think it's a good idea or not, but all these kind of legal questions is still the city council.
Council and the attorneys and all of those factors will get together, and then it'll come back to you folks.
Okay.
All right? We'll start out our financial negotiations out of a $20 camping fee, $19 for the city and $1 for you guys, right?
Well, that's certainly where we can start.
One of my concerns when we first started talking to, and Brad and Andrew's answer it was, there will be it's still a city park.
Absolutely.
It's still got day use for people that want to go over there. Now, here's some things, just comments I have off the top of my head. Brad's in a unique position to do this because of the business he owns on the river there. However, since we are a public entity here, this has to be, I think, an open bidding process. I don't know the legalese of how that works, but I can't imagine anyone doing this job other than Brad, but I still think that as a public entity, it has to be an open bidding process. We can't just say, okay, Brad, Andrew, this is yours.
And somehow we've got to know what we're bidding on, don't we? And if it's an open bidding process, there might have to have some time, possibly a year, to test the waters to see if it's feasible and to see if it's functional and see if it works before we even put it down on paper and go out for bid. So that could be a segue or a leeway for Brad to investigate what the pros and cons are of this and how many man hours he's using and all of those kinds of things.
I understand that, Doug, but I think as a government agency, we have the responsibility to throw this process open to everyone. We don't run a monopoly here, is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. It seems like there needs to be some kind of request for proposal process, since there would be revenue associated with it.
And that
coming up with a plan and all of that so that we could review anything out there. I agree that having it local is great, and the city better than anybody, but it still seems out of fairness that
To
process
tell you the
needs
truth,
to happen, but
I totally agree with you. I think all I want is something to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked at that island for 22 years now, and nothing has happened other than a $250,000 toilet.
yeah.
In
I
all
think it's a
honesty,
great
I mean, it's
idea.
just
Another thing.
This would have to go through the attorneys. I mean, it's gonna be a part of
I
the
know
project. So
that.
they're not gonna let us do something.
I
crazy.
understand
So-
that. I understand that. At least I hope so. I know that there's a lot of, I look at corruption and stuff, and
In government?
no.
it's not our job to promote corruption. I think somewhere down the line too, we have to reevaluate how this is. There has to be open books. I mean, Brad, let's say I can't see anyone else doing this, but it has to be. He has to have an open accounting system. I don't know how the city is going to get their cut of the share. So let's say there's 50. I'm just throwing a number out there. Let's say that there's 50 camping sites and Brad charges $25 a piece. Do we get $5? Do we get that 20%? And then after a period of time, when the books are open, we go back and we kind of look at, how much money, Brad's got to make money on this. I mean, he's a businessman. This is not going to flow because he goes through a year of this and he doesn't make money. He's going to either have to increase fees or he's not going to do it. But likewise, as a city, it would really be nice if we got our fair share of because it is the city's property. It is a unique piece of property in probably the whole state of Oregon that has really lots of potential. And I'm kind of with Brad here and Andrew. I think that it would be great if they made lots of money. That would be fantastic. And but if they make lots of money, then it would really be nice if the park's got a share of that.
You gotta keep
The other
in mind.
comment I want to make a couple other comments I want to make on this. I've only been on this commission for a couple of years, and we've gone around and around and around about Sand Island and all the problems that we have there. And I do see this as solving some of the problems, and that's something that needs to be discussed too. The people on the boats. I didn't realize that people stayed there for 3 months and didn't pay mooring fees.
Nobody pays mooring fees. Those are State Marine Board docks. You don't own those. The State Marine Board put them in, but the city can put down the rules of how long people can stay there.
We have an ordinance of only a week?
No.
10 days.
Yeah, I thought we had one like 10 days too. Okay, there's lots of my final comment is, there's lots of there's many unanswered questions, like you gotta go through the attorneys and, there's jillions of things we gotta go through here, or at least the city council does. But I could see this as I like the idea. The
So-
concept.
So are you looking for us just to say, go ahead and continue researching it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Looking for as
Or
many
is that-
questions as you can ask and clarification right now.
Just wanted to answer one thing, Jerry, to keep in mind with the money part of it, that they're saving us a whole bunch of money right up front. So, I mean,
Well,
it's
that's
not
gotta
that
be-
we need to make a whole bunch of money on what they're doing, because they're already gonna be saving us a whole
Well,
bunch of money.
But Neil, here's the deal too. I agree with that. If they're saving us a lot of money, they are making us money, right?
Right.
That's, we're making money.
I wanted that number.
I didn't take that into consideration, you're right, when I was thinking that. But still yet, that has to be taken into the formula, how much money they're saving us, and I don't know how much that is. But also, the city needs to get their fair share. And I don't know what that is, but I don't, we can't just say, Brad, here, this is, you take this and you develop it and you make a lot of money, and good luck to you. You are helping us a lot. Be as it may, I don't think that's right.
I get you. I understand your point, because with this body has to be accountable to citizens. And one of the ways to be accountable to citizens is it's hard to explain how much we're saving unless we figure it out. I mean, it's all comes down to dollars and cents sooner or later. So I understand where you're going with that.
But it's not also saving, it's giving the public an opportunity to go over and enjoy a park. If he puts in a shuttle, right now, how many people have access to a boat to go over there? I don't walk across the water, so you gotta have someone that has a boat. because
That is part of the
otherwise
equation, there's no doubt about it. And we are
no
going to
shuttle.
be improving your asset.
And so this is something that's gonna be provided to the public. You're not gonna put a dollar and cents on the public having access to a park. What kind of a dollar and cents you put on the
Well,
public that have
Brad
access
is
to?
getting a fee every time someone rides the boat across, he's getting a fee. Granted, he's gotta provide a boat, he's gotta
But it's
provide
a-
gas, he's
that-
gotta
I'm
provide.
sure the fee for the shuttle
We
is
can't
not
give it
gonna,
away. We
is
can't
not,
give it away, is what I'm saying, and that's.
well, I agree, but the people that are riding the shuttle are not doing the overnight camping either. So if the fee is a nominal fee for the shuttle, I think the public that wanna use that are not gonna complain about a nominal fee for shuttle. If he's charging $20 a head for the boat ride, then I would say we have a problem.
Right.
If he's charging several dollars per person and you take a minimum of 10 or 20 over there, I don't know how big your shuttle is.
Right.
Then you're gonna cover the cost of of gas and the time that it takes to do that. So those are all factors, but that's down the road. Right now, we're just saying the concept of doing that is we're gonna try to give you an okay from the Parks Commission, is what I'm hearing, to proceed along this endeavor. Is that
Right.
what I'm hearing?
I think that's what we were asking for.
Okay, well then, if that's the case,
I
well,
think
let
we
me,
still have a couple more.
Yeah.
yes,
Got
yes.
a couple of questions.
Quite
I've tried a
sure.
couple of
Yes,
times.
yes, Paul.
One of them is that we've discussed too in the past is that when you really look at Sand Island and the park, Sand Island has been growing in the last few years. A lot of it actually is dredge soil built by the Army Corps of Engineers, which then technically, there's a huge question that we've never been able to get an answer. How, is the park actually just a fraction of Sand Island? And the rest of it is Army Corps of Engineers dredge soil. What authority do we have on that area?
Right.
And that's a.
John Walsh has got the authority to manage that property as a park, as a place that is in conjunction with the city.
That was one of our questions also.
Yeah, our office does a lot of work on riparian, river frontage type projects, and you might get a little different answer with regards to ownership, who's responsible for this and that. Different answer between the state, Department of State Lands and Army Corps of Engineers. In general, though, any any ground that is below ordinary high water is really, land that is controlled by the state or federal government. So, which for the most part, a lot of that dredge spoils sandy area. And we have no intention to shut off public access by boats or anything, but even if you wanted to, you couldn't, because the way Oregon's, access and control laws work, any of that that's below ordinary high water is really public access, and that's a good thing.
And only one other comment was that, I know that they started running into trouble with the last shuttle when they were running X number of people, and then somehow they had to change the classification because whoever driving that boat had to be Coast Guard approved and all this other stuff. And
Yep.
the higher the accreditation you needed for the more people on a
Right.
shuttle. So that can drive the cost up real quick if you're having to have an accredited Coast Guard approved pilot on the
Correct.
shuttle.
Just a couple of comments that I had that would be helpful before making more decisions is having like some other models of cities who have parks where they've leased them out and had somebody privately managing them, just to really see how those work, what the cost plan or revenue plan is for those, if it's like a sharing, like you make this much, we get X percentage, or however they work. So that would help.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that together, and that's really valuable input. This, of course, keep in mind, is very unique in the fact that usually if you have a campground, people are driving their car and parking it there. And I bring this up because it's one of the other cross benefits of this plan that would have to be put together to have a responsible proposal. And we've actually looked at, to accommodate the parking demand that would be developed as part of this proposal, we've got to have somewhere to put the cars. And so honestly, this is really kind of a whole nother branch of this proposal would be some quasi-public-private parking improvements that, of course, all those details, once again, I don't want to get into the minutia here, but those are all details would have to be worked out with the Public Works Department and other city staff that, have a say in those matters. But I think that's going to be another, quite honestly, cross benefit of this is additional parking in that area that would help serve particularly during the high demand that, with a good spring salmon run, for instance, this time of year, there's a parking problem down there. But the camping demand wouldn't be at its peak, and so you'd have more room for those types of people to park.
There really isn't that much more room down there to park. I mean, when salmon season happens, it's already full.
Yeah, well, we
Had to stop people from parking with trailers in Columbia View Park, and, I mean, that's an important park to us too, that,
Yeah, and I don't want to get into all the details here, but we had a vacation approved recently for a portion of the First Street right-of-way. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the garages that Brad built there, but there's what was an 80-foot right-of-way up behind those garages, and a portion of that was vacated, and it's, I think everybody realizes the importance of having better access in that area and a potential connection, and so we've been also working on a conceptual design that we'll probably sit down and discuss pretty soon with Public Works that would potentially take advantage of some of that public right-of-way and also some of the newly acquired private property as part of that vacation process. And for instance, like I said, the details would have to be worked out, but with we've worked out a conceptual plan with a one-way kind of loop through that area. We could have substantial parking down there that would be, I think, a additional benefit to the area.
So Andrew, where they've been filling in there, the canyon there, that's, the idea is still in place to put a one-way road through there, a loop through there?
Well, we've specifically been looking at, if you're familiar with the we call it the Upper Wyeth
I'm
Street
very
RV
familiar
park
with
there that Brad recently built, connector. That's, the access to that is actually through public right-of-way, and then kind of where that canyon ties in with the upper part of the RV park, we could connect a loop into that First Street right-of-way would then come down by the sewer pumps.
Oh, it was
in
in
there.
First Street, not Second Street?
Correct.
First Street.
But it would also, that's a cross benefit of this, is the city has also been interested in a future access up to Second Street. And each of these improvements that we're talking about making are the kind of building blocks towards that long-term potential connection up to Second Street.
I think we're gonna, it's 5 o'clock, I think.
We're running out of time?
I just had one other
I
thing,
think
I'm
go
sorry.
quick
One more
question.
quick thing.
One quick question.
We're doing a survey for the city and the school district to figure out like the rec program. I think if we're gonna do a survey for that, we should also do a survey on this early on to get the public's input of what they would like to see, what they have.
We will have a
concerns
public
about.
input.
Okay, okay. I think earlier in the process is good so that people can feel involved early on and not feel like they can provide input once the decisions have kind of been made and the proposal is set. Rather have the input early so that input can actually be used and it's not too late and we're just hearing people talk and there's nothing that can be done about it anymore. So that's just
I think
my
there's gonna
final
be
suggestion.
I believe there's gonna be a lot of meetings, and hopefully they're public meetings. But right now, if I understand right, all we're doing today is just saying, the Parks Commission is saying, proceed with this project. Is that what I'm hearing? If that's the case, I'd like to entertain a motion that we allow Brad and Andrew to proceed with this project, because there's a lot that has to be worked out between now and then.
I propose that the city allow Brad and Andrew, Brad, Andrew Nemi, and what's your last name?
Henderson.
Hendrickson.
Okay, I've talked to you before. Never knew your last name. To allow Andrew Nemi and Brad Hendrickson to move forward with a proposal to develop a private.
With their proposal.
I would say camping, maintenance, and shuttle agreement.
Okay, yeah. Camping maintenance and shuttle agreement on Sand Island.
Seconded.
All right, it's been approved in second. Question? No? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, another Parks Commission approval. All
Thank
right.
you. I'll take that forward.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, annual report to council. Who does that?
Me?
Do it.
Not me, but, June 20th, at the 1 o'clock, council work session, I would like two Parks Commission volunteers to give a short presentation on what the Parks Commission has been working on and whatnot. This is your annual report to them.
Do I have any volunteers that want to talk to the commissioners on June 20th? Let's see, that would be 9 days, so that would be like a Wednesday.
At 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wednesday, June 20th. I don't have my calendar.
And I think I did it last year.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, you guys did it. Want to do it again?
No.
Oh,
That went well.
wasn't that bad.
I can
How
help
yeah,
with it.
great.
I'll help
Okay,
with
Good.
whoever wants to do
okay.
it with me.
Carmen, you want to, okay, and let's see here. What happens, that's was John Brewington. He was supposed to have done one a while back, and I don't know if we'll see if we can get John to help. John's very good with talking to those people.
Okay.
So we'll see if we'll try to get John to see if he will help you.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds
And
good.
if not,
Then I'll just wing it and make
We'll-
the best of it.
I'll try to, I'll see what I'm doing on June 20th. I have no idea if but if you could do that, Carmen, I
Yep.
appreciate it.
I'll
Okay,
email John and ask him.
right, and let him know he has an assistant.
And if you can provide me with the last year's presentation or something so I could see what, or anything that was, nothing? Okay.
Whoever did it, I don't know if you have.
Who did it? You guys did it last
we
year?
mainly just talked about the highlights of
Okay.
it. And last year we gotten some improvements, the staircase at Nob Hill, the kiosk. There were several other things around the city that people brought. So it's kind of like look around, see what was good.
Okay, sounds good.
We can get it off the minutes,
Okay, thank you.
council minutes.
Is that it then? Sure. Okay, Columbia View Park Plan. Anyone's here to talk about the Columbia View Park Plan?
Yeah, I was just curious about what is going on with Columbia View Park, the Vista Park that we were, a year ago, we had all those meetings with coming up with ideas with the people from Portland State, and now that whole area's been taken over by another idea.
It's not taken over.
So, I'm just curious about what the timeline is, what is our thoughts about how we're going to expand that area?
And I think you already have the input in, is that correct?
They came up with the plan, so I'm just wondering, you know, a year later, what's going, what are the next stages in that area?
Depends on what urban renewal does and where we go with the urban renewal. And right now, it's in flux. So there's a lot of ideas that are still incoming
Okay,
about what that's going to be. So it's a vacant lot right now.
well, yeah,
And that's why you see it being utilized for a few other things, and that's why some controversy has emerged.
yes, that's what I'm alluding to.
So nothing.
Lost a big section of the riverfront trail that's kind of been there for a while. I've heard a lot of comments about that.
What are the comments?
People don't understand what's going on out there. That thing was built over what was kind of the riverfront trail. I've noticed people's habits are totally different. We used to have people go out and play in that area. Now they're playing over by the equipment. There's a lot more traffic walking down the center of the street in front of the shops.
Yeah.
Parking's become a lot more difficult over there since anybody really wanting to get to another area has to go so much farther, whereby before they just went through that nice little gate and they were out on the property.
Well, the big deal, that I think we all have to understand is that we purchased that property and it is not park property. We purchased it, it's public property. And the council got together and said, you know, instead of just having that property sit there, let's use it, let's ask Public Works to make a trail, a walking trail around there so our citizens can see what we have and appreciate the views and appreciate everything. And in the meantime, we hired some consultants and, we didn't hire consultants. They came in on their own projects. It was, I think, the Portland State people and quite a few others have been putting input into the development of that area, as well as you folks. So that's the state it's in. So when you say what's happened to our park, it's a matter of
park. It's a future.
It's a future park. And so there's no real jurisdiction over it right now of having park ordinances and that kind of thing. If we've got to look at it as public land.
Okay.
And until plans get into place, it'd be crazy to do something out there and then have to tear it up and then go back with another, you know, with the plan that fills into place. So it's in flux right now.
Yeah.
That's hard to
There are
explain.
improvements being made to it now, though, you know, I mean, there's things being installed out there and that type of thing, so.
Say that again?
I said there are things being installed out there.
Permanently?
Well, when you pour concrete in the ground and put in a post, yes, that starts to become an improvement as far as
It's all temporary, and the
Yeah.
posts that are in the ground are made so that the posts can come out.
yeah, but you still got a big chunk of concrete that somebody had to pour in a machine.
Well, there's,
and
if
out
you
to
haven't
big
noticed, there's
extent.
lots of chunks of concrete on that property. Lots of them.
So the last thing we want to do is put the existing Boise fence that's up there that
Yeah.
surrounded everyone
Uh-huh,
to keep out.
uh-huh.
The last thing we want to do is enforce that and keep everyone out and build more fences and more kinds of things like that. We at this point, we want to invite the community in to walk those trails, to participate in that. And it's a risk that we take, but hey, we think it's a good risk to invite people in. And our event director needed some of that property to facilitate her event that she's going forward with. So she came to the council and asked if they could have some property there to facilitate an event, and we go, why not? And then we got some pushback because it was spoiling some people's views and many other kinds of concerns.
Changed my habits in that area. You know, I'm also a little bit concerned about being locked off from there now that twice in a little over a year and a half, I've observed the bonfires out there to have illegal burn material in it. Now I won't ever be able to get out there to inspect our bonfires. You know, that's something that has been on my mind, that twice over the last couple of years, we've invited people in for public bonfires, and if I wasn't screaming and yelling before that happened, they would have been burning pressure-treated lumber, particle board, countertop material, and everything else proximity bonfires. And that's a little bit of a concern now that they could have an area where some people go, oh, it's just a few pieces, that's not important, but I believe in zero tolerance to that stuff, especially if you're inviting the public to come in and stand around a bonfire. One piece of pressure-treated material is too much, you know. So those are some of my concerns about that big chunk suddenly getting closed off to everybody. So, but whatever.
They're being closed off temporarily,
But
so
but it's
that,
temporarily.
Yeah, if they have any bonfires down there, that's gonna be open to the public. It's not gonna be 5 people are only invited to stand by the bonfire, so you'll still be able to inspect the bonfire.
Any more discussion on then this,
just that it's in a state of flux, and when the plans get developed, they'll come before the Parks Commission, and you have final say on whether you agree with it or where you want it to go.
so keep your questions handy, Howard. We're not gonna shut you off, by all means. I don't want you to feel like we're gonna do that. All
No,
right?
no, that's fine.
All right, I wanna make sure I'm not cutting you off on that.
No.
Okay, Parks report, Campbell and Godfrey, who was supposed to give, we're supposed to get reports?
I've got
for-
Godfrey. I can start with that one.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't have a whole lot, just that I was looking through the master plan and was looking up Godfrey in there and found that there's a priority 1 enhancement in there that's for an ADA swing set. So I just don't know what the protocol is for how do we go about getting that in the budget? How do we go about making that happen? I mean, the master plan is from 2015 and it's 2018, and that was priority 1. So I'm just curious what we can do to make that swing
Talk,
there.
talk to your fellow commissioners, get a recommendation forward to the council.
Okay.
Was
But
that
I mean,
also-
budgeting, how do we handle that for budgeting? Do we make the recommendation and then it goes to city council?
Just so
for-
you know that there's already a proposal for a grant to do like a nature
I saw that,
stuff.
yeah. And that's also in the master plan is for budgeting for,
And some of the things that Matt talked about earlier with the $500,000, that would be
Okay.
part of that.
Yeah, 'cause
So
that
is
was
this
tier
That
kind
one.
would
of
be
a,
kind of projects that money would be spent for us to get new swing sets
okay.
and stuff like
So
that.
do we just make note of this for now and keep it in mind?
What I would do, if I was in your shoes and a committee chairperson for that work, I would ask your fellow commissioners if it's okay to go forward and see Matt Brown and give him your budget proposal.
Okay. Is everybody good with that? Yeah?
Well,
Yeah,
I
go
want
for
to
it.
make a couple comments here.
Yeah.
And they're probably just inappropriate for what they're worth. One thing we talked about a long time ago is in that lower part, the lower part is the one close to the house there. That's all gravel and dirt in there. I know the road's got to stay there, Neil, okay? We've gone through the road. But that area that's, you know, on the other side of the road, I would like to see some dirt dumped in there. And so that, you know, so it's more attractive. That is not a very attractive area, in my opinion. Another comment that's just kind of in there was Jenny Demshow. She talked about, and this might have been what we're talking about here, she was gonna put in like a nature area where kids could crawl through and everything. Neil, where was that gonna go in the park, do you know?
I don't know if she's really narrowed it down. My understanding it was up in that kind of corner where the swing set and stuff is now. Is that right, Thad? Do you know?
Kind of close to the canyon there, where you drop off? Okay.
And
Yeah.
I do have your dirt on my list, but it's not the time of year to do that. So just so you know, I still remember that from last time, and I've got it written down.
If everyone thinks it's a good idea, I mean, my ideas are not
Oh,
always,
I
understand.
think it's a good idea. I agree with you.
And now, who would make this presentation to Matt Brown?
I can reach
You
out.
just make an appointment, go see Matt.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as the council level, you
You
go
guys are
ahead
good
with that, you
Perfect.
have our permission. And-
Awesome.
and
Thank
if
you. The other things I had was with the grant that got brought up last time, do we have any idea of when we'll find out about that? If we get the grant, does anyone know?
Which one?
There was a grant the last meeting for, the Disney Play Spaces grant. Yeah.
The 30,000?
Yeah, for
Oh, the one we
30,000
were just talking about?
shorts. Yeah,
I don't know where that is right offhand
Okay.
myself. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
If we get
Okay,
one,
sounds good. And then the other thought I had is that over near Campbell Park, there's a road, like a back gravel road to get in, and there's like a little public library thing in somebody's yard, just like a little, tiny little house where you put books in it. And I was just wondering if everybody would be open to having one of those in Godfrey Park, and what the process would be if, like, I got somebody to build it or create it, and what would be the process to get it installed.
There is
The
a,
Friends of the Library type of things, is that what you're talking
Oh,
about?
I don't know,
I
maybe.
believe so, that those are the library book
It's,
exchanges?
yeah, it's just where you put in books.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
it's
separate?
the Little Free Library. It's
Yeah.
like a nationwide organization,
Okay.
and you can.
we can get the resource of the
Okay.
lady who came to ask us about putting that in and gave her the permission to do that. What
Okay.
group she is from, I'm not quite certain, but Kathy Payne would have that information for you
Okay,
and a contact number.
sounds good. Okay, I'll look into that if everybody's cool with me doing that.
If you need help,
Yeah.
let me know.
Okay,
And
That's
check
all.
with the Friends of the Library, they might also be associated with that book
Okay.
swapping little house or,
sounds good. That's all I've got for Godfrey.
okay. And, see, who was it, John, or not John, but, Jacob was gonna do Campbell?
No, John was gonna.
John was gonna do Campbell, so we'll hold off on that one.
And
So we-
then who would like to do one next month? My oldest one would be Stan, Walnut Park, Jerry Cliffs.
I won't be here for the June meeting, so someone else will have to, I can do a follow one, later, but, I'll be out of town in June, so, hopefully Jerry's gonna fill in for that. Is there a park could you chill in for, park for June?
Yeah, I don't remember ever doing Great Cliffs.
Yeah, you did it in December 2016.
So that would be almost a two-year update. Okay, so.
I'll take
update
it.
it in my mind also.
Okay, so that'll give us, both, John can give us a Campbell, and you'll do, Great Cliffs in June. Okay?
Note that you forgot that to your doctor in your next physical, okay, when you talk to him about.
Okay, I'm gonna have to force us to move on here. Under old business, Veterans Memorial Plan approvals. Now the time for.
We certainly do, and this
Alright.
is huge, and you have a plan right in front of you, and we have Andrew Nemi here to explain his ideas behind this design. And the monies came from a grant from the parks, from the state parks, that the city obtained. $47,000, I believe, 45,000. And then also as you remember, the howitzer cannon was stolen from McCormick Park, and it was a retribution payment to the veterans. And so the veterans took that $40,000, combined it, 45,000, combined it with the parks, and together kind of a tripod of collaboration between the city and with Andrew Nemi and with the veterans, we've come up with this, and hopefully this will all be in place by Veterans Day this year if everything goes as planned. So Andrew, could you come up and explain this a bit?
Yeah, thank you, Doug. I'll be brief, but this is a really great project. I think it's worth giving you just a little bit of background. Back in, I believe it was 2011, that the original, what we're calling the Phase 1 monuments were installed that are currently there at McCormick Park. Those monuments are replicas that we worked with the VFW on starting back in like 2008. They were simply replacing the lost monuments that were originally along Highway 30 and were removed when the highway was widened. And several of the community's great veterans from that era, were really interested in having those monuments replaced. And so we worked with Max Lawrence and some other great World War II era veterans to get those monuments replaced and installed for Veterans Day back in 2011. And those existing ones list all of the soldiers that were listed on those original monuments who we lost in World War I, World War II, and Korea. And back then we had discussions about adding a second phase that would pay tribute specifically to soldiers that were lost in all of the other conflicts, Vietnam, the Gulf era conflicts that are still going on. And so here we are now, several years later, finally with a proposal to add those additional monuments. And this has been, as Doug mentioned, a collaborative effort between the VFW, the city. The city contributed substantially to the original Phase 1 improvements. They put in all of that concrete that those two monuments are sitting on currently. And as Doug mentioned, Jenny has worked really hard to procure a grant to pay for the majority of these improvements. And then I think it's another $35,000 approximately that the VFW is going to kick in that were proceeds from the settlement with Chuck Hagley, who walked away with the cannon. Anyway, just a brief summary of what we're looking at here. You can see the existing kind of arched sidewalk that provides pedestrian access to the existing gazebo. That would all remain. The concrete that the two monuments, Phase 1 monuments, are sitting on would remain. But that concrete that's a little bit more butchered up between the parking and the pad that's got the two recent monuments on it, that area would be replaced. We don't want to have too many different concrete patterns going on, so we're kind of consolidating it down into all of the new concrete being some type of tastefully colored, earthy toned concrete. What we're representing here would be just simple tool joints like every 4 feet to give it kind of the look of large tiles. And so it would be a large gathering area that would be able to provide appropriate gathering space for the annual Veterans Day celebration. You can see we've got a new raised pedestal that the howitzer would sit on. It has been returned, but it's basically kind of in its original location. This would give it an appropriate spot off to the side there, as you can see. And then we are also adding a new walkway that would connect the existing gazebo to a new shelter. And originally we looked at another gazebo, but the concern was brought up that it's really important to have clear visual access or sight line to the American flag. And so we've worked with the VFW extensively in laying all this out in an effort that we feel is going to be the best compromise for not only the annual Veterans Day celebration, but also gatherings at the park that could occur year-round. So as people currently do, they could reserve this space for family get-togethers or private gatherings and utilize this space, which, by the way, was an important attribute that the VFW folks that we originally worked with felt was important, that these monuments be accessible to the public and in a place where they were readily visited by folks that would be there for other reasons. You can see we've laid this out to where when you approach this memorial from the parking lot, the idea was that it kind of builds interest. There's a clear line of sight between the two existing monuments that will line directly up with a new monument in the background there. And that is where the new plaques would be mounted that would list the soldiers that we lost in Vietnam and the more recent conflicts. And then there would also be individual plaques and flags that paid tribute to the individual service branches. And if any of you are interested in looking, or maybe you're familiar with it, there's a fairly new memorial in Columbia City on the Deer Island side of Columbia City, just on the west side of the highway there, that's got a similar...
It's by the trestle.
Yep, just across the highway from the trestle. Thanks, Doug. And so there would be those individual branch flags and plaques. And then this new shelter that we've conceptually shown here is 20 by 40 feet. So that's about 800 square feet of covered gathering space for the get-together. There'd be a additional dry covered area for dignitaries or special guests. There's be accessible access to that for people with disabilities.
And it would be highly, highly appreciated in November because 11/11 is never a very nice day, and that's when we have Veterans Day there at the park. And we get 120 some people show up now. So it's been fantastic, and we've got the mayor of St. Helens comes to this now. So that's another added thing. We get all kinds of dignitaries. We get state senators and state representatives. So it's been a fantastic turnout that the Garden Club, the Veterans of Foreign Wars does, the Parks Department does a wonderful job of getting that place cleaned up. The only question I have right now is in between the present memorials, there used to be a Blue Star marker that the Garden Club put in. I noticed it's not showing up on this particular drawing. Is there a reason it's not there?
So it does still show up there, but what it
Okay.
says is Phase 1 existing Blue Star Memorial to be relocated.
Okay.
So there are several different features that, the idea is we wouldn't get rid of anything that's there currently. So there are some of those items that we still need to decide exactly where they'd go.
Because that has a rather extremely sunken post. That post that it's on is buried quite a bit underground, and it's in concrete, and it's $100 and some for the post, and then the star on top of it is a lot thing. That's the one that was stolen.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say, we're-
damaged, and then
yeah.
it's now a $1,600 item, so it's not a cheap thing. It's got $20 worth of pot metal in it, but it costs $1,600 to replace, so.
Yeah, and that would be, in addition to these improvements, those points are well taken, Stan. We've talked about this quite a bit. There have been problems down there with vandalism and theft and so surveillance, there was a
So
camera added.
The
yeah,
camera there,
across the,
I wave to it
Yeah.
every time I go and take the flowers away from, that's down there, we put
Yeah.
flowers there, and then I gotta go pick them up, and I gotta wave, let them know it's me taking the flowers away. So, yeah, it is a concern. So, hopefully they add more cameras when you expand this, because then the potential for the back area, that's not currently under surveillance, and it needs to be.
yeah, and there'll be an opportunity for that. We haven't finished the design yet, but like Doug mentioned, the idea is to put this out to bid early summer to have it built in time for the Veterans Day celebration. Specifically because it's a popular venue for folks to rent through the summer, the plan was to have it basically right after Labor Day is when construction would begin. And so kind of just on the tail end of the busy season for utilizing the facility. And we've got included, like I say, we haven't worked out all the details, but there would be electrical and plumbing upgrades that would provide an opportunity to improve that security.
And then on the plumbing, make sure that the water faucets are more than this far off the ground, because you cannot fill up a coffee pot to save your soul
Yeah.
there. And so they need to have something that's an elevated spigot.
Yeah, they'd be frost-free hydrants
Okay,
that we'd
so
work with that
as
on
long
those
as-
details, and
As long as those things, and again, a lock mechanism, that would be great.
you bet.
Okay, thank you. But you, again, as far as us, I think we've authorized this before. This has been authorized, so this is just an update? Is that what I'm hearing, or do you want any?
That's kind of a final authorization of the plan. We've looked at the concept before, and this is now the plan. So if you want to go forward with the plan, if you want the council to go forward with this plan, the plan can be altered where, maybe we got to find the place for the Blue Star
Well,
Memorial, or
well,
keep
that-
it there, or do
well,
whatever we're
that-
going to do.
It needs,
But-
it needs to be something where the people can see it, and it needs to be associated with one of the.
Understand that, but this is a plan, and you
Right.
need to authorize us to go forward with the plan.
So
And you
if you're looking for authorization, and then I'm open for a motion that we authorize the plan.
Make a motion to accept this plan, with the exception of finding a good place for the Blue Star Memorial.
Okay. Second? Do I have a second? We're moving ahead with this?
Second.
All right, we have a question. Ellen, okay, all in favor of Andrew proceeding with the plan for the memorials for the Veterans Park? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One things I didn't say is that the veterans, I went over and talked to the veterans and went through this with the veterans group, and they absolutely are 100% behind this, and they're thrilled that what Andrew has volunteered for. He's volunteered his time, he did all of this, and
the
it's
St. Helens
exceptional.
Garden Club is also very much approval of this, so. and-
Yeah, we worked with you on the original one.
Yes, and this will be the third time that Blue Star's been moved, so, we better find out, put it in writing somewhere that we're gonna put it somewhere that's gonna stay there for a while, all right? So anyhow, I put it in the first time.
Are all 3 phases scheduled to be done by Veterans Day?
Uh,
Or
phase 2.
phase 2?
And I will let the people at the garden club know that, when do you think we might know where the Blue Star might end up? So that,
We plan to have our, kind of what I would call the finished design done in about a month, within a month.
okay, so
And we will
would you make sure.
show you that plan and get your input,
You're
definitely.
more than welcome to come to any, or, the garden club meets on the second Thursday of the month at the PUD.
Okay,
And so when you guys come up with what your idea of a final resting place for the Blue Star marker is, then I think it would be great if you came to that meeting and got the approval of the garden club, since they're the ones that bought and paid for it.
you bet, and that's the second Thursday?
Second Thursday in the month at the PUD
Okay.
at noon.
Yep.
So you would be more than well, just let me know and I'll make sure you get on the agenda,
Okay,
all right?
you bet,
Thank you.
you bet. Thank you.
All right, anything else on that? All right, the Lions Club tree planting recommendation. I know nothing about,
I don't know where we're at with that, but Phil Roddy pledged to this commission $1,000 from Lions Club for trees. Now, yo,
On the minutes of that meeting, I looked that up, Phil said that they did not have, $1,000 was not enough to buy 100 trees. And he asked if you guys would come up with ideas for other things to spend that money on to help the city. And unfortunately, that was the last meeting he was at.
since he passed away, yeah. So I can't speak for the Lions Club. I went to one of their meetings where they were gonna possibly help you. Someone would have to go to a Lions Club and ask them, because their monies that they are allocating, they're the ones that also taking care of the exercise areas at McCormick Park. And I can't speak for their finances, because I think that's outside of our area, but that's something that could be asked them, and I think that should come from someone. Or if you have the exact minutes or how he worded it as far as what the,
It was, yeah, just what I read, it was
Okay.
very short and sweet.
okay, all right, so, I don't know who should approach, because this was something they were gonna do for the city.
this came about in the Parks Commission. He was a Parks Commissioner.
You're right, but is this something they were gonna do for the city? So if he was gonna do it for the city, then the city should contact the Lions Club. I don't think that, he wasn't doing it under the auspices of the Parks Commission, is what I'm trying to say. You see what I'm saying? So if you wanna pursue asking what's the story about the money for trees for McCormick Park, that would be something that someone from the city would have to talk to the Lions Club about.
Okay.
Okay.
How long ago was this?
Why don't you-
Almost a
Sean?
year.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
it.
the August last year meeting.
Okay. Have we confirmed that the money is still available?
Well, this is Lions
The
Club money, this
$1,000.
isn't our money.
Yeah, I just
See,
think like
this
it's a
is-
year later, budgets.
He pledged
go
it.
through the year. He pledged it, okay.
He pledged it but for trees, and then found out that, I believe it might have been from our arborist, that each tree is going to cost $100 and some. And, he just goes, whoa, I was thinking of, quite a few trees. And so I think that's when he came up with the alternative of that.
My comment on this, it would be nice to have city trees planted in the city. It doesn't have to be 100. but let the decision, rest with the Lions, what they wanna do. I mean, if, we could accept 10 trees or 8 trees, if they were placed in the right position, those 8 trees could really,
It was Phil Roddy's suggestion to the Lions Club to do that. And the Lions Club thought it was a good idea because they were on their anniversary of some sort.
Yeah, and then they still have to come and go through the people in the parks themselves. It's a physical thing,
Right.
because right now, I'm struggling with that with the parks right now. You can't put a tree in, we got a bunch of dead trees in McCormick Park because there's no water, or there's no
Yeah.
soil underneath so the planting of the trees has to be coordinated with someone from the actual parks that knows where the water is, or what's wrong with the watering system that they think they have there, because that's what's hurting us at McCormick Park right now.
So you want me to take this to the council as a recommendation from you to pursue?
I would appreciate it if you would work through the city council and the Lions Club to find out a little more information on the tree issue.
Okay.
And then make sure that then they come back and talk with Thad, if they're
Okay.
gonna physically plant anything in the ground at McCormick Park, there is the issue.
Well, there's a lot of other parks.
Well, or any other park, but the watering at these various parks is an issue. People forget that in the summer, if there's no water, you got dead trees.
Right.
All you gotta do is drive around Pittsburgh Road and go in McCormick Park in the summertime.
So all I need is a thumbs up. I don't need a motion.
Okay,
So I'll
good.
take that to the council. Got it? Thumbs up. All right.
Works for me, then, okay. Anything else on that? I don't think so. So, Parks brochure update, is that
I asked Jenny what was going on with that, because that nice broke into the December meeting and said she was going to be working on it. And Jenny said that she knows the girl had gotten a lot more hours at her job, and she has not heard from her, so I don't think that is going forward with that particular person. So nobody is working on a brochure right now.
And some of that brochure stuff, if I remember correctly, also included the bike and pedestrian thing, which, was that one of those parks brochure where there was supposed to be one central
No, I think that,
brochure
I think,
where all
I
those
think
things
the
were on the
brochure we're
same?
talking about is the one that covers all the city parks
Just
to
the,
let
just
people
the,
know
just
what
the
the
city
amenities
parks,
are.
okay,
Just the city
all right,
parks.
okay.
And it's been out of date for years. That's why I was wondering if we couldn't find a way to tap some of the tourism money that's out there and hire somebody just to do it, because that's part of tourism. I don't know how you go about trying to do you have to apply for a grant from the tourism people, or how do you come up with an idea to be able to fund something like that?
Let's try to find a way.
Yeah,
What?
and
Try to find a way.
And then the
Okay,
chamber.
well, how do we find out about tourism money? Because wouldn't that be part of tourism, is to have a good parks brochure?
Wait till, go ahead.
I did have a talk with John Walsh about that, and he thought that was very possible to use tourism money for at least part of that. So I think there is a possibility.
Does the chamber have any say in any of that? No money, or like us, we have their budgets like ours, zero? So,
No.
I would suggest if we're doing updates to a brochure, it would be nice to also update a website and make sure that the website and the brochure match and are consistent. If we ever go
It's
down
actually
that
the web-
route, it
the-
just would be, I feel like more people are gonna go to a website these days than grab
I
a
think the
brochure.
website gets updated
Okay.
more on a regular basis.
That's good.
Yeah, since like Howard said, that thing's ancient, and I think the website's a lot more updated than that is.
Yeah.
And Crystal does a pretty good job of
I'm
keeping
still
this
hold
stuff.
out. I still like hard copy brochure to walk around with, where you don't have to always, sometimes you go to a park or something, you don't want to have your phone out to look to see where the next trail is or the park is.
Stan, I got one
Yep.
more to go back on my report
okay,
that I had down here. And that was, this is, it should be pretty interesting to you because we have been giving Eisenschmidt Pool, in 1 year, $25,000 worth of water. And Eisenschmidt Pool, the Greater Parks and Recreation group of St. Helens, and that name has their has their own tax base. And so all along, we've been furnishing water for years and years and years. I guess ever since Eisenschmidt Pool was built. And now the councils looked at that, and it was brought about by Matt Brown. He says, "Why are we doing this? What's going on here? We don't furnish the school district. We don't furnish the fire department. We don't furnish any of those tax bases free water. We don't give them free water. And then we're charging our citizens for that water. So what's the deal?" So the council goes, "That's not right." So Matt drafted a letter to him, and a letter came back and said, we still want free water. We still want the $25,000. And by the way, we would like to obtain the park next to it, Civic Pride Park. We want that. And my feeling is that they want it so that they can call themselves a park and recreation district. And there's, to me, it's kind of a, they want those kinds of, those two things. They want the free water, and they want the park, and they aren't changing their name. So they will be the Greater St. Helens Parks and Recreation Department. That is a separate tax district that everyone is given to, and their annual budget is just close. It's approaching $500,000 that they get from their own tax base. They're like the fire department there, and we all look at our tax base and when we vote, and we go, "Oh, this is the St. Helens Parks and Recreation District. That's great." They don't know that that's really Eisenschmidt Pool, and that's the group from Eisenschmidt Pool, and that's it.
Well, at
It has
the
nothing
last-
to do
at the
about.
last budget meeting, I specifically sat right there to make sure that that was in the records, and I told everyone from the city that until they go out and address the public to this day does not know that not 1 cent of their tax money that goes to Parks and Recreation goes to the city Parks Department, not 1 penny.
That's really
And-
concerning.
It's
I
misleading.
mean, really.
Well,
Could there be a
no.
ballot
But- well,
initiative to get
it
them to
was-
change their
that's-
name?
it
so
was-
it's
Well, I'd have to
accurate,
probably
or-
take him to court or whatever, or we're asking our attorney at this point, what do we do? But they initiated now the letter, so now we're going to respond to it and work through
At
it.
that time,
I don't know if I need a recommendation from you folks of what to do, but possibly we can put that on the back burner, but I already know how you feel. I mean,
For
it's
years,
every,
we tried giving them that park, and they didn't want it. They didn't want it, they didn't want it, they didn't want it.
well, I
So
think
don't
they
wanna
started
give it to 'em
thinking that
now.
if we're a Parks and Recreation District, we better get a park real quick.
Well, I don't wanna give it to them now.
Well,
I
when
take that off the
Are they
table.
wanting to pay for the park, or are they just wanting us to give it,
They
give
want
them
us to
free
get,
water
they
and
would
give
just
it?
want to take
Yeah.
it.
What's their basis for it? Are they like, what's their basis for that? Are they like,
They
are
want to
offering
expand
bids, so we
Eisenschmidt
want-
Pool and possibly put a splash park in it, or a splash pad, or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
Well, an Eisenschmidt pool, I mean, they're getting all that tax money, but it still costs quite a bit to
To
swim
run,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not, it's paid for through taxes, but people still have to pay.
So that one pool has, I don't know how many employees, and what does our Parks Department have? 3.
Huh?
Yeah.
You're up to 3? I thought it was 1.7.
Well, we're still about 1.78, really.
1.78, but on the books.
Well, my feeling on that, for what it's worth, is we should charge them $25,000. I don't know how other people feel about that. And 2, I really don't have, I understand their cycle, they don't have a park, and they call themselves a park. I get that. I don't have a problem with giving them that park, because again, it's one less thing we have to do. it is right next to there. They could put in a splash park. They could do a lot to make that very attractive. I totally agree with that. But this issue between, I don't know how to handle this public relations thing between, what is it, the Greater Parks and Recreational District and the St. Helens Park.
They gotta change their name, it's just that simple.
Well, that's what we're thinking, and we're
Yeah.
thinking, and so Jerry has something that could possibly work and say, hey, you guys gotta get rid of that name, because that's so misleading. So,
Well, it's the problem with ballot measures, and to this day, the state of Oregon has that same issue, and whoever can write a ballot measure, half of these things have been passed of late, did not put the word tax in there. And so these measures get passed. Well, when they put together that ballot measure that allowed us to put that tax on, that people voted in, the tax, it sounds so neat. Recreation and parks, and so that measure, based on the wording, got passed. Well, once it gets passed, you can't undo it. But it's educating the people, and this is what I tried to tell the city, you have got to go out and put the word out that there is a difference between the Greater
Oh, yeah.
Columbia and the Parks and Recreation and the city Parks Department.
I'm constantly telling people.
But until that word gets out, everyone thinks all their money's going to Thad's back pocket and to spruce up his riding lawnmower, and it's not.
and now if we go into a Parks and Recreation for the city of St. Helens in conjunction with the school district in partnership, there's another
They keep-
Parks and Recreation
They keep
District,
they
there's the
keep
real
using-
name.
They keep using that name, the city keeps using Parks and Recreation in their name, and they don't understand it's not the greater. And when it's, the only one that's getting the money is the greater,
Oh, yeah,
and.
that's why they gotta change their name.
Or we have to come up with a whole new,
Something.
title ourselves, and so it's an issue that has to be addressed, but it's a public relations issue to me, not than anything else. But as far as getting back, if you want a motion for not allowing them to have $25,000 of free water, I think we can all vote for that right now. I'll entertain a motion on that, if that's what you want. If that's what the council needs?
The council would entertain
Okay.
any of that. Any information from the Parks Commission would be
I'll
one.
let someone else on
All
the
right.
prohibited motions.
All right.
Make a motion that the city should charge Eisenschmidt Pool the true cost of water for their swimming pool.
I second.
Okay, we had a motion that the Parks Commission recommends that the Eisenschmidt Pool pay for their water for their use. Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and another motion. We're setting a record for motions tonight. All right, so,
Get things done.
is that the last of your things or anything else?
Got it,
Before
thank
we get
you.
down to now, we got
Wait just a
discussion.
second, before we go any further, I have a question here.
Question.
So, Doug, is the city council gonna go forward with trying to get the Greater Parks and Recreation District to change their name?
Matt is doing that at this moment. Matt, our finance director, is working on that, drafting letters,
So are we,
getting with, and we'll find some kind of approach, and yes, it is on the table.
so you're gonna try to give them maybe the park as,
We don't know what we're gonna do. We
I say
try
no
to,
now.
we try to
No.
deliberate openly if we can.
Do they understand the situation that we're under? Do they understand? They're
Yeah,
the
it-
only ones that are getting tax money from
Yes.
every person in the county, and the city of St. Helens Parks and Recreation people are getting nothing. And so they have to understand that they have got, they're sitting on a golden goose egg.
They know that.
They know that.
But that has to stop. So if they're aware of that, and.
Yeah, the letter came back, said it would not be in our best interest.
Well, okay, yeah, we understand that, but it's not in our best interest to give them money
Right,
anymore either, so
exactly.
who wins? The ones that writes the check or the ones that gets the check? All right. So, all right, under discussion items, anything else that needs to be brought up on this long
I'll do Nob Hill real quick.
Okay, Nob Hill.
We had 12 people show up for the work party, including me and Caroline. We only worked about 2 hours because of the inclement weather, not knowing what it was going to do. We planted 21 more plants around the staircase and stuff with a donation from Scappoose Bay Watershed Council. Pulled about a pickup truck's worth of blackberries and other miscellaneous stuff. We had a really good time with the Native Plant Society earlier too. We had about 12 people. Right now, if you've ever wanted to see Nob Hill Nature Park, and it's great. Everything is, well, a big, huge percentage of everything is blooming right now.
The blue flower is what again?
Well, the camas hasn't started yet, but
Okay.
the fawn lilies, and I call them checkered lilies, are just doing really well right now. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Trillium are starting to turn to their purple color, you know. So if you've ever really wanted to see the park, this is really what we have the park for, is this particular, you know, show that's coming up right now. Once again, I had to ask somebody to put their dog back on a leash. It's up in the middle of the Camas Meadow, getting their dog all excited, jumping up and down, running back and forth in a Camas Meadow, which I don't think it's this year, but eventually some year I think we'll have to put some signage up that says like sensitive area. Stay out of here till everything's done blooming, and then you can go up there, you know. Just because we can't have people tromping all the pretty stuff.
I agree.
But
Anything else?
no.
Okay. Lisa, anything?
Not real. Oh, we have had some issues at the dog park with that other people have brought to my attention, with children coming and with their families and dogs, but running after the dogs and throwing things at them, and it's kind of a sticky situation, because then the people with dogs, we have to leave all because of this. So there's been various suggestions to me. One person said, well, the McCormick Park's 73 acres, we've got 1 acre. My dog has to be on a leash in 73 acres, the kids should have to be on a leash in this 1 acre. And I said, that doesn't really work that way, but
But somehow parental guidance has to be, you don't allow kids to throw things at dogs.
well,
So,
and some people have been concerned because there was one incident of a child going up and smacking this bigger dog, and the dog ran away, but her owner was saying, well, you know, if my dog had bitten that child, I would have been in big trouble, and so would my dog. So a few people have suggested putting an age limit, like no children under 15 in the park at all. And, you know, while I hate to do that, because, you know, we've got some little ones that come, and they're fine, but it's getting to be kind of a problem with the, so I don't know how it's gonna
Is there
Has
play out.
anyone reached out to the parent, like, as this is happening, is there a parent or guardian around that someone can say something to just resolve it? in the
Yeah,
moment?
sometimes there are, and sometimes it's like oftentimes the parents are so far away from the kids, or they're on their phone, or you know, we're trying, you know, I've seen
Yeah.
people try to interact, and it's not always,
This kids should be supervised at all times in the
Right.
dog park.
well, and it's
Scary, it
kind of,
becomes scary fast.
it could, yeah, for the dogs and for the kids. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, so, but, anyway, I said I'd bring it up, and I think there's a lot of people talking over what they think should be done, so I can report back
So
next
if
meeting.
some guidelines need to be written up, or some etiquette for dog parks, I mean, that's something that.
We've got
possibly-
that.
So that would be something that could be handed out to those kind of people, or posted,
Yeah,
so that they know, and then if they in violation of that, then maybe we have is there any authority for us to ban people from that kind of a thing? I don't know, I'm asking, I'm serious.
I think there were a couple of dogs that were banned from the dog parks, but I think that might have been on kind of a county level.
I'm not talking about the dogs getting you banned, the kids. No, I'm serious. If the kids are doing the cause, you know, you throw a.
I know on the sign it says, children under 12 must be supervised, I think, and then, you know, no running in the park.
Okay.
But it's just, I mean, the other owners are trying to, you know, do some hey, you know, this is not what the dog park's for, why don't we, you know,
I mean,
nicely,
have
but.
you could, have you, you there, or have you seen this? Because this is something where as commissioners, we could say, as a Parks Commission person, I have to ask you to please, you know, do something, and then if nothing happens, then bring it back to us, and we'll see what,
I
what
would
what
actually,
grounds we have to
Yeah.
do something, but hopefully right now it can be handled
yeah,
without
I don't
any
mind.
kind of authority coming down from us, if
Yeah,
possible.
I don't mind
wanna go
chatting with-
babysit 'em.
You know, I don't mind chatting with people, just.
Okay, but by all means,
But,
mention the
yeah.
fact that you are this a
Okay.
Parks Commission person. And that's, I think it's perfectly right for, especially Howard, when he's out there, and the fact that you're friends of, taking care of Nob Hill Park, and please would you, because as a Parks Commission person and for the public, please don't do this. And
Yeah.
I
if
think
you let
that's
'em
okay,
know-
but that's a little bit scary saying that to me, because you guys really don't have any authority to tell people they can't do anything.
I know, all you can do
Just-
is,
just-
that's all
you
you
can
can do.
make
That's
suggestions,
That's
yeah,
all,
but
that's all,
Yeah.
that's all
Don't
we do.
mislead them into
No, I
thinking
say
that,
we try
you
to
know.
encourage people.
Yeah,
to
I,
go
I
on.
would say that the best
Yeah.
thing over there would just go to Thad's office and have Thad go talk to people.
Now, the problem with the children being in the park is that after school, and we're usually gone by the time kids show up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's an issue there. And like it says in the rules, you know, and it says right there, and you point that out to them or whatever, I don't know. Code enforcement's not, is the one that would probably have to call, but
Well,
I hate to see that, but I've had to go out and have some discussions with a few people lately too, about their animals, not the kids, but their animals.
yeah.
And most of the kid problems are parent problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
It's a parent issue, not a kid issue. Kids are gonna be kids no matter where they are.
Well, yeah, and that's true. I mean, and no one really blames the children, cause it's
But, you
really
know,
not
and
their
it's-
fault.
and
They
it's
haven't
true,
been
it's-
taught.
It's a parent issue because kids are there smacking a dog, well, the dog's gonna defend itself.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
lucky
sorry.
they
Yeah,
get
it's
bit,
scary.
yeah, okay.
I do have one other,
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you're done with that, I got one other thing
Okay,
that I was
quick.
gonna mention real quick.
Okay,
Also, at the last meeting, Doug asked us to come up with what we thought friends groups were. So you'll notice that I think we handed you out one thing that I did. I don't think anybody else did it, so we probably could blow this off till the next meeting if you want to.
Put it on our next meeting.
okay,
Thank you.
yeah,
Agenda,
if-
but
did
Yeah.
everyone get a
there's
copy?
It's going to be 6 o'clock. We got to
yeah,
get
no,
out of here.
that's all I
Yeah.
was saying. I just wanted to point that out. I'm done.
Okay, Carmen?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to follow up on is last meeting, we had someone come and talk about Free Forest School that they wanted to do in McCormick Park. And so I joined the group, the Facebook group, just to see what's going on with it. And they're doing it every Thursday. They meet in McCormick Park, and there's a bunch of kids that do it. I haven't been able to go with my daughter at all because I work during the day, but it looks like it's growing and there's more people going. So I don't know if there's been any positive feedback or negative feedback
good to
about
know.
them in the park, but everyone seems happy and,
You
Yeah.
gave them some locations to go.
yeah, I'm not
and-
sure,
and
I haven't
hopefully
been,
they
so I
followed
don't know
those
if they're.
locations, and, because they were worried about the creek and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so we told them,
Yep.
go use that Lions exercise area.
Yep.
Okay, Jerry, anything?
Yeah, one quick thing, the urban hiking trail, I'm gonna keep working on that, that's not gonna go away, but I think we'll just wait until, you know, the other group comes with us and we're all one group, and then it won't be so hard to get people to commit to it.
Okay, the only thing I gotta add is the Darden Club's been working at both McCormick, cleaning up that corner down there by the Old Portland Road and 18th, and we've been taking care of the triangle. We got 2 plant sales coming up on the 21st at the library and the 28th at the high school, and so any plants left over, we'll probably put them in the ground. And then we'll be getting bigger, newer, brighter colored plants later when the ground warms up. Still too cold to put anything in the ground. Okay, that, anything?
One last plant sale, Saturday, Scappoose Bay Watershed Council, native plants in Scappoose.
Okay.
Behind the-
Okay, Doug, do you have anything else?
Oh, I had enough today.
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, and next next meeting is the 11th, and Jerry will be running it.
If I'm here.
And here, otherwise it'll go back to Howard by default.
Will you be here, or?
Well, no, I'm gonna be out of town.
Oh, so Jerry, we'll see if Jerry's here, that's why, okay.
That's
okay.
because, like I say, I'll be out of town, I'll be down in Lebanon for 3 days, so we'll be adjourned until next June. Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn the mics off.
You don't find somebody to